His name is Alexander Napoleon Ulysses Latour. Mermaids, their hair is green, he says, swim up these waters from the sea. He's seen their bubbles often. And werewolves with long noses and big red eyes come to dance on moonless nights. He'd never dream of being without this little bag of salt at his waist. And the little something he carries inside his shirt.
Lots of alligators around here?
Yes, there's plenty. There used to be more than they got, though. People hunt them plenty. I used to hunt them myself, to sell the skin, you know.
Will they attack you?
Yeah, sometimes they will if you catch them or go fool with them. I remember an old man that they had a big hole in close to his place where the woman would wash, you know. And he went in there to take a bathe, you know. And jump in there, and there was a good-sized alligator, I guess about 8 foot. And that alligator caught him by the throat and the nose here and just cut his nose almost off in his throat. And, well, he like to die. He must have been drunk because he used to sing kind of a funny song when he come home. He'd say this away, he says, I eat when I'm hungry and I drink when I'm dry. If whiskey don't kill me, I'll live till I die. Yeah.
You like some coffee yet?
Thank you.
Have some sugar?
No, thank you.
I'll take a little bit. That goes again. Can that thing really tell where oil is?
Well, not all together, Mr. Latour, but it helps.
I wish you bloody luck. You're gonna need it.
Well, I guess I'll be going. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm back again.
Bye, Sonny boy.
Bye.
Come back again. Come see us.
Looks like we got company. Hello there.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Where'd you come from?
Over there.
What's that you got in the bottom of your tea roll?
Holy mackerel. I never caught a bigger catfish as that in my life. What kind of bait do you use to catch that one?
Not the bait.
It's not the bait.
No. Watch. I'm sure I catch a big fish. What are you all doing here?
What do you think we're doing?
My father said, you crazy, all you fellas.
Come on aboard. Door's worn out.
Sure does. It looks like old Scram's dead.
Come on over.
Look, I got my salt.
Salt? What's that for?
It's for them. They don't like salt. If I throw it at them, they run away. I got something here too.
For them?
We. It's the best one.
Oh, you're a great fellow.
So here you are. I hope he's not been too much trouble to you.
Oh, he's no trouble. Glad to have him. Come again.
Bye.
Bye.
You be quiet, Jojo. You be quiet. Quiet.
Zabrevnela. Yeah. Where are you? You dead? Where are you? Are you dead?
He killed my coon.
Never mind. We'll get him. We'll get him.
Holy mackerel. Who got that fella?
The boy killed him.
You mean to say that boy there got him?
Yes, all by himself.
He must have rigged some bait for that fella.
Yes, I spit on it, too.
Hello, Tom. When you gonna get me some oil for my kicker?
Oh, whoa, the bottle of moonshine lasts that kick of yours a year.
Well, that's more than you'll ever get out of that hole.
Better go down and keep the eye on that mud.
Don't you know better than to be fooling around that derrick now? You crazy? Good for nothing. You come home, you hear me? You no good for nobody. Mon petit saloperie, quand tu vas venir à la maison, on va t'arranger. This is no place for you anymore. You keep away from that hole.
Well, well, look who's here. What have you been up to? Did you lose your soul?
Oui.
What's the matter? Those things been after you again?
I guess those things are all around here.
Sure. That's why we can't get off.
We,
I guess we could use a little of that salt, Tom, ahead for the well, couldn't we?
We sure could.
I've got it. Why don't we get him to do what he does to his bait?
I did.
You know, Mama, Derek's gonna go away pretty soon. Yeah, gonna go away any day.
No, she won't go away.
It won't go away. How do you know it won't go away?
I know she won't go away.
Well, here she goes. You're great. Thank you, John. That's right. Now we got all for you, Kicker. I never believe you did it.
Me, I know you did all the time, Tom. I know.
Et au village, je portais quelques affaires. Là.
T'as bien fait, on avait besoin des grosseries.
Je portais quelques cadeaux là aussi.
Tu t'as comporté au village?
Oh oui, mais bien comporté. Rapproche pas qu'elle et donne-le à ta mère.
Oui.
Là, je suis là. Donnez. Voici avant de la mer.
Oh, ça c'est beau. Justement ça j'avais besoin.
Tu l'aimes?
Oh oui.
T'as porté quelque chose pour moi?
Non, c'est pas rien pour toi.
Pas du tout.
T'es trop canaille. T'écoutes pas ta mère et moi non plus.
On peut le faire.
Je te portais une petite pompe ici.
Une pompe. D'où t'amènes une pompe?
Tu veux la voir?
Ouais.
Comment t'aimes ça?
Ça, c'est beau. Pour moi, ça?
Je sais pas, tu crois que c'est pour toi?
Ouais.
Tiens.
Pour moi, vrai, ça?
Oui,
Vrai, c'est pour moi?
oui, c'est pour toi.
Oh, ça, c'est beau.
Un petit
Hein?
tout neuf.
Ouais, fusil tout neuf. Ça, c'est bien beau.
Bah là, va là-bas, va dans la cour. Va tirer
Palais?
là-bas.
Tirer? Merci pour.
Oui, va là-bas.
Jojo.
His name is Alexander Napoleon Ulysses Latour.
My name's J.C. Boudreaux from Cameron, and 60 years ago I was selected to make a film, Louisiana Story. We walked the gate down to see a Tarzan movie. Yeah, and these people come by in that station wagon, and they asked if I was J.C. Boudreaux. I told them, yeah. I says, well, we need to take some pictures of you. We're going to make a movie star out of you. You know what? Movie star at that time, I didn't even know what that was.
Near the end of World War II, the Standard Oil Company foresaw an American future powered by petroleum. To persuade the nation, the company hired Robert Flaherty, the legendary filmmaker. Flaherty and his wife traveled the Southwest, searching for their story. At last, picnicking along a Louisiana bayou, they found it. We knew we had our picture, Flaherty said. It was a story built around that derrick which moved so majestically in the wilderness, probed for oil beneath the watery ooze, and then moved on again, leaving the land as untouched as before it came. That was the vision that Robert Flaherty gave his audiences, looking through the lens of Louisiana Story. But what did those on the other side of the lens see, looking back? In the 1940s, coastal Louisiana remained one of the most isolated places in the United States. Since colonial times, it has been the homeland of the French-speaking Acadians, or Cajuns, as we're often called today. By the standards of other Americans, the people here were desperately poor. Many made their home in the wilderness, much as their ancestors had for generations. But momentous changes were coming to the land and its people. Flaherty recognized this. 20 years earlier, Flaherty had made Nanook an icon of the Inuit people in the popular imagination. Now he needed to find someone who could embody the Acadians of Louisiana.
He had in mind a boy.
But it had to be a truly exceptional boy. Well, we found J.C., so we shot screen tests, first time in my life. And we screened the screen tests. When J.C. smiled, the whole world lit up. And so Flaherty was absolutely delighted. He said, "Go get him."
Robert and Frances Flaherty rented a rambling old house in the town of Abbeville, Louisiana. They were joined by Richard Leacock, Flaherty's young cinematographer, and the film's editor, Helen von Dongen. For the next 14 months, it would be home for the production's tiny crew and cast.
About twice a month, Mr. Flaherty would get his violin out, and Miss Flaherty would play the piano. But we all had to get in there and sit down. It's like a concert to us, you know. And best be quiet and listen. We'd watch the films whenever they, after they develop, and they come back. Well, Clarence usually was operating the projector, and we'd just all sit down in the hallway and just watch it.
Oh, God, he screamed. I was going crazy looking at this stuff. And if something wasn't right, he screamed it even more. And then we would go and do something again, and try another approach, and another approach, until he was happy.
Louisiana Story achieved some of the most poetic images in the history of documentary cinema when Flaherty directed Richard Leacock to train his lens on the machines in the wilderness.
We shot the drilling of the oil well. Like any sensible people, we did it in daylight. And it was fine. And the oil company executives came and looked at it, and they loved it. And when we were running out of money and time, Flaherty called me in and said, "Ricky, we're going to reshoot it at night. Every time I see them drilling at night, I find it more exciting." I thought he was crazy. We didn't have any lights to speak of. I spent a week climbing all over that oil rig, putting the reflector flood spot had just been invented, and putting those up. And I had some other lights, and we did it. And it went like flash. He was so right, because you concentrated on the drillers and the drilling. Flaherty had hand-cranked Moana, Nanook, all of them were hand-cranked. But it had changed. Hand-cranked films were shot at 16 frames a second. That's 2 turns of the handle a second. Da 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 da. We were very good at that. Now it was 24 frames. That's 3 turns per second. Drives you absolutely up the wall. It's so difficult to do. He did it himself. All the shots of the well blowing up, the actual shots of the spouting of it, he made hand cranked. As I said, he didn't need a cameraman. He was the best.
With his wife Frances, Robert Flaherty had contrived a story about the harmonious relationship between a traditional Acadian family, the unspoiled wilderness where they lived, and the advent of modern American industry.
Now, people accuse him of not really being documentaries. Nobody could make documentaries in the modern sense then. Everything had to be set up and reenacted.
In Louisiana Story, the actors were virtually identical to the characters they portrayed.
I've always been a boy out in the open, always hunting and fishing, and really wasn't that much, difference in the lifestyle. I started alligator hunting when I was probably about 8, 9 years old. I still hunt alligator. I hunted this year. But I found out one thing. Don't kill more alligators than you can skin the next day. I got greedy one time and I killed 9. I had to skin them suckers the next day. And 9 alligators, a whole lot of alligators are good skinning in one day by yourself. Especially when you got some 7, 8 footers. That's a lot of alligator skinning. So I learned from experience to kill 2, 3 of them and go home and be satisfied.
Looking through the eyes of J.C. Boudreaux, Flattery's Louisiana Story views the coming of modern industry with a sense of wonder and allure.
I had never seen a rig before. And, man, that was one of the strangest sights I've ever saw. Seeing this big, humongous thing coming in that canal pulled by a little bitty old tug. It's fascinating.
Documentary or not, in filmmaking, the lens changes what it sees. Often people are surprised by the images of themselves projected on the screen.
Whenever I first saw it, it was a shock. We make little pieces here and little pieces there, and whenever they're showing a rush upon the projector, it's not no whole big bunch of it. And here we are, going to the Frank Theater and watching this movie. It's amazing.
Filmmakers have always struggled with what it means to tell the truth in this medium. Many look to Flaherty. But one of the movie's most memorable scenes was also the most carefully staged.
The real alligator, I took him and put him on in the bank. And Flaherty decided, no, that's too short. We need more than this. He needs to pull you out. So they stuck a pole out in the water up there, and they had 2 people on one end and me on the other end and a rope around it. And they drug me in the water.
He said, your function is to create visual tension in the audience from beginning to end. And you never give away the whole story.
You know what? Whenever the alligator hissed at the nest, would you believe I jumped? I was like the rest of them.
Robert Flaherty clearly intended to show an honest image of native Acadians in the place where we make our home. But his movie was also quietly doing something more than this. Louisiana Story was bought and paid for by Standard Oil to promote the interest of the industry and to sell Americans on the promise of an oil economy.
Flaherty wrote a brief treatment of what he had in mind. The oil company lawyers insisted on his initialing every page of the script so that they could hold him to it.
The boat passed by 3 times, and I wouldn't get out, and after a while I heard him holler. He says, if he won't get out of that boat, run over him. I said to myself, well, Mr. Flaherty's getting serious about this now. So here comes the boat for the 4th time, so I jumped out. But it was about November. It was cold.
From behind his camera, Flaherty had seen firsthand how modern influences threatened to swamp traditional cultures around the world. Louisiana's story was a familiar one, but the outcome of the story is not always simple and straightforward. Just like the character he played, J.C. Boudreaux was shaped by the same turbulent forces of change depicted in Louisiana's Story.
You seen the scenes to where I went and met Mr. Hardy, sat on that bench. And they got what they call a spinning chain. That's when it tightens the pipe up. Now, when that thing comes bouncing and flying, it makes you want to pay attention. Years come after I'd done that same type of work, after I got grown. I was throwing the chain and watching all this stuff. And it could be because of Louisiana Story that I went to work on the rig. I don't know. Maybe I fascinated how things operate. In 1957, Hurricane Order took my home and everything we owned. And then 50 years later, here comes Rita. Well, she takes my second home. Well, this is where home was at until the old storm come through. Kind of cleaned this all out. The only thing left is pecan trees. We're kind of used to camping, but whenever you camp in a FEMA trailer, it's really not the best place in the world to live at. So, we really want to get home. And it may be 3 or 4 or 5 years before I go back in, but I will go back.
Production wrapped in 1947, and J.C. Boudreaux left the town of Abbeville, where he'd lived for the last 14 months, to return to his home in the coastal marshes. But home was no longer where it used to be. His family had relocated to another island.
They sent me home on a Chris craft. We had all my belongings on that boat, and they're sending me to Little Pecan Island, which I didn't know where Little Pecan Island was at. My folks didn't know I was coming in. It was a surprise to me to find the island, and a surprise to Mom and them that I got home. The money I made from the movie went to my mother and stepfather. Father and I went to Lake Charles, and we bought some propane bottles and the gas range and the refrigerator, and then we got back. Well, then, at least we could keep our milk cold. $3,000 back in 1948, that's a lot of money.
The movie immortalized young J.C. Boudreaux as the face of Cajun culture. And in many ways, he remains just as emblematic today.
The whole film is a bit Paradise Lost in a way. He's showing it and saying it's probably going to change without having a militant or a radical tone. It gives you the possibility to make your own choices, or you watch something which is passing, in fact. That's what you see in the film.
Flaherty was a humanist. He believed in people. He loved filming people who were good at doing what they were doing, whether it was Nanook or J.C. or the driller. I've never worked with anyone near like him.
In representing the arrival of modern American culture here, Robert Flaherty also became a lasting part of the Louisiana story he was trying to tell. For more than 2 generations after its debut, Louisiana Story offers a chance for people to reflect on a defining image of themselves, of who they once were, and who they are becoming.